Welcome back to our live show. Our next guest is a Northern Virginia-based theologian and pastor. David Williams is the author of several mostly religious-based books, but has recently published his debut novel. The Christian Science Monitor called When the English Fall an unusually good post-apocalyptic novel. David is here with us today to share his fictional look at what would happen to society in light of a disaster caused by a solar storm. Good morning.
Good morning, Cheryl. How are you?
I'm doing great, thank you. Congratulations on the book. Came out about a month ago.
Yes, it did. Yes, it did.
And it is a quick read.
It is. It's not huge, but that's okay.
I like that because I like to get into a story, which you do, like right into the story, and then it just pulls you forward. Where did the idea for this come from?
Came several years back. I love reading science. I love reading about science. And I'd read an article about the 1859 Carrington Event, which was the largest solar storm in recorded human history. We think back to last month, remember the aurora that were sort of popping here and there? Well, this was a storm where the aurora were so bright at this latitude that people came out in the middle of the night because they thought it was day. And there was so much energy that it shorted out all the telegraphs, and really an event like that now, well, it'd kind of be hard to run a show like this in the morning after
We wouldn't be able to run a show like this after
exactly.
something like that, because it basically would destroy humanity as we know it. It would take down all the technology, which is what we pretty much live and breathe by.
Right, exactly. And so I was thinking about that as I walked and I contemplated on a long church day. And I'd studied the Amish. I went to the University of Virginia and got a religious studies degree there. And part of my senior seminar was looking at the Amish. And it just came to me, you know, what would that community do? Because the impacts there would be much, much less. They don't have the same reliance on technology. They've got much stronger senses of community. They grow their own food. So how would they handle that kind of event that would just bring us, the English, which is what they call us, bring us down?
Thus the title.
Thus the title.
When the English Fall.
Right.
Now, this is interesting because the book really is kind of like a when the worlds collide kind of story, because the English want to come and take over the Amish because they're able to sustain through this disaster.
Right. The idea in the book is that after there's been no power, there's been no communication, everything's fallen apart. After a while, folks run out of food and folks get hungry and folks get desperate, and the Amish, who are maintaining themselves, really find themselves having to deal with a society that's fallen back onto violence. And they are, of course, a fundamentally nonviolent people. That's just a core part of their creed. So how they endure and survive when we've fallen back into being red in tooth and claw, that's a core part of the book.
I love the way you crafted the book because it's told through the journals of your main character, Jacob.
Jacob is interesting, and Jacob was a challenge. It's told in journal and diary format. And really, I'm a Presbyterian pastor, and trying to capture the voice of an Amishman. I did a lot of reading into how they speak, how they think. There's a gentle, wry wit, and they're very straightforward in the way they speak. They're as plain in their speech as they are in their lives. And so what I try to capture in the book is the tone and feel and flavor of an Amishman who's trying to come to terms with something that's really pressing the fundamental assumptions of his society.
Now, is this book meant just to be read for entertainment, or is there an underlying story there, or theme, or idea that you want people to get from this?
I really do want people to think about, there are a lot of books, so many books in the post-apocalyptic and dystopian genre, and I really want people to think a little bit about why that is. Like, why do we have this hunger, so this desire to read stories about everything collapsing, and then we all get to use our guns and eat our canned food, and why is that a good thing for us? Why is it positive? And why is that something that we feel is necessary? Why do we want to bring it all down and
maybe
read
to rebuild it?
And to rebuild it, but what are we planning on doing when we rebuild it? I mean, so this looks at a culture where really, if it all falls apart, it doesn't make that much difference for them because they're already set. They're content in their way of living, and how that that plays against our societal anxiety that things are kind of messed up and we'd like to start over again.
Well, the book is called When the English Fall. David, thank you so much for joining us today.
Oh, you're most welcome.
You're very welcome. And you can meet David at his book reading and signing tonight at the Fountain Bookstore. That's on East Carey Street in Shockoe Slip. We'll post a link to more information by early this afternoon. Just go to WTVR.com/VTN.